something that we should do first.
Okay, what?
Chad, what if we got married?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, October 10, 2024. So, first off, we see Clyde and his quote-unquote lawyer. Well, Dr. Green, right? So, he's assuring Clyde that everything is in motion. His sister's, working on a plan to marry off Chad, because again, they're at Clyde's beck and call because Clyde somehow have their mother hostage and, he has the last call on everything, right? So he's saying that, this gotta be in motion because listen, if you guys don't do what I say, your mother's gonna die. And of course, you don't want your mother to die. You're gonna do whatever it takes at this point, right? So anyways, he doesn't just want the Demir fortune. This man wants Chad dead. So Dr. Green is saying like, how would this even work? Like, how would this happen? So he's saying that, listen, I'm locked up in Supermax, it's not going to be trailed to me. So he's like, are you going to hire a goon to do it? So he's like, no, you are going to do it. So he's like, I can't and I won't do it. So he's like, you have jokes now. Like, listen, either way, you're going to have blood on your hands. It's either going to be Chad's or your mother's. So he's putting him in a very difficult position at this point. Earlier, he was saying that the reason why his sister couldn't really go through it at first is because she didn't want to involve the children in it, traumatize them. Again, Clyde doesn't care about that. Clyde just wants to know that his plan is succeeding and he's getting what he wants at the end of the day. So Maggie and Julie, they're at her house, just, sitting down, eating some lemon bars, just catching up. So, Julie tells Maggie that, Abigail or fake Abigail is off to Paris with Chad. And, it's in hopes of actually, getting back her memories and all of that, right? So, Maggie is saying that, I really hope that it does work out. And, Julie is saying that, listen, regardless if she gets any memories or drag it back, she did make a promise that she would come back and tell the kids that she's alive and all that. So then the conversation turned to Sarah. And Sarah, being able to walk again or not. So Maggie is just, accepting the fact that Sarah might not walk again, even though she, had a condition where she couldn't walk and she was able to walk again. She's not sure about Sarah. So Julie also mentioned a point about Sarah actually remembering that Brady was behind the wheel. So she just found it really hard to believe that Sarah remembered that, that just came out of the blue. So, Maggie is saying, maybe, things are really, sometimes things like that can happen. And she's saying that she just feel bad for Brady, and Julie's agreeing with that. And Julie said, like, his addiction is an illness, and it's just unfortunate that he went behind the wheel and all of that. So Maggie agrees, and he says that he's a good man. He just made a very, very awful mistake. And, fortunately, he has to just, pay the price for it. So Julie is saying like, I really do hope that things do turn around for Sarah and all that, right? So speaking of Sarah, right? So EJ, he's adamant that he doesn't want to recount the statement. He's feeling like, listen, like, we worked so hard to get to this point for there to be justice for you. And, we have a man convicted for that, and it's just like, listen, this is just waste of time for me. So she's like, so you're not willing to reconcile it? You just heard Xander said that I am on a lot of medications. It could alter my memory. Like, I really don't want to see an innocent man go down for this. So it's like, listen, like, you guys said to me that, you want justice and you want Brady to pay for this. And they, even though they're in agreement or for it, they just really don't want to see, if there's an innocent man in custody, they really don't want to see him go down for this. So anyways, EJ is going back and forth, like he's saying, like, how all of a sudden you start remembering this thing, and, are you just lying? So she's like, it's the medications. And I was like, so what's going to happen next week if I recount the statement? What's going to happen next week when you say something else? So she's like, it won't happen. And he said, listen, I got 10 years for a plea deal. Is either you go down for perjury or Brady does. So you guys know what you're doing. Think about what you're doing, right? So either way, I don't know what's going to happen if the statement is going to be recanted. But for my lawyer people out there, can EJ do that? If somebody come back and recant the statement, is, the person liable to perjury? Or, I understand both sides. It's very costly to go back and, go into investigation after a witness come and say that, they finally remembered and all that. It's really costly and time consuming. I understand that, but I also understand that it's also EJ being biased and, just taking too much power into his own hands. So anyways, we see Eric trying to put 2 and 2 together, doing it a lot better than the police force at Salem. So, he spoke with the waiter, and the waiter told him what he needed to know about Fiona actually being there on the night that, Brady supposedly drive this car that hit Sarah. So he found out that Fiona was there with Brady on that night. They were having drinks and all that. So he went over to her, introduced himself as Brady's brother, and he wanted to find out some more questions, about what happened with Brady. And she said, yeah, we were there, it was light. It was a short relation. It wasn't nothing to it. And we had some drinks and he went his merry ways and that was it. Well, what happened. So he's like, I don't know what happened else after, he left, other than I overheard you and Sarah talking about, what you guys did. And, I need some more clarification on that. So he goes over to the mansion, right? Because Xander, after EJ left, Xander went over to the Demare mansion to find Kristen to see if she would still give over the serum, even though EJ, is not recanting the statement, is not allowing Brady to go free, which was the deal that they made, right? So he's wondering if, he can speak to Kristen about what EJ is not doing and see if it still could work. I don't think so. But anyways, Eric comes over. He was calling Sarah, but Sarah missed it. So she was about to call him back when he answered, So he's saying, listen, I need to talk to you about some things. I need to know what you're hiding, on your mother-in-law. Because remember, he overheard the conversation between them at the park the other day. So I saved this for last for a reason, because listen, I really fast forwarded through this scene between Chad and fake Abigail, aka Marcy, right? I don't know if Chad is really that blind in love that he cannot really see what is really happening, that this lady is playing him. All this fake acting and everything is just so, it's just so disgusting to watch. Like, that's the only word I can come up with. It's disgusting. So anyways, they're in Paris, to supposedly, help this lady to remember all the memories and all that. So they have a romantic dinner and, suddenly they start, talking and all of that. And she's suddenly had an awakening that she remember everything. She remember her name. She remember him, and he's ecstatic because that's what he wanted. And she kissed him, and they started kissing. And at some point, it was gonna lead to something more, but then she stopped it and started thinking about what she spoke to her brother about, going through with it, because they want to save their mother and all of that. So then, at first she was feeling guilty after she kissed him and, playing along with it. But then she remembered what she said to her brother about going forward and saving their mother. So she's like, you know what? Before we get intimate, I have a suggestion. I have an idea. So he's like, what do you want? What do you want to go through it? So she's like, before we get intimate, let's get married. So that's her big plan, to seal the deal and all that. And I don't know what Chad's reaction. Maybe he's just gonna go through with it because he really wants the love of his life back. He wants his family back, so he's desperate at this point. But listen, this just real disgusting to me at this point. But let's see what happens tomorrow. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys all tomorrow.